Great to be with you. Thank you for this great panel discussion, which was about Bitcoin, and now we want to talk about Bitcoin adoption. So before I start, I would like to quickly introduce my colleague Stefan and myself. Stefan is CEO of Kurant GmbH, and Kurant is the European market leader for Bitcoin ATMs. And Kurant is a very well-known partner for a lot of companies because they offer a fully regulated service to them. My name is Gloria Traidl. I am here on behalf of Blockchain Investor AG. And as you can see, Blockchain Investor AG is shareholder, advisor, and partner for different companies. And all the companies or major startups have one thing in common. This is Bitcoin adoption. So Coinfinity is a Bitcoin broker in Austria. Kurant, as I said, European market leader for Bitcoin ATMs. BTC Echo is a well-known media in the blockchain universe. And we also have a very interesting partnership with the House of Nakamoto. The House of Nakamoto is a walk-in office in the heart of Vienna where you can buy Bitcoin. So what you see is, for sure, all our shareholdings have one thing in common. It's Bitcoin adoption. So before we start, I would really like to ask you two questions. And I know it's hard, but I would like you to participate. So who of you here in the audience has ever seen a Bitcoin ATM? Perhaps, oh yeah, great. Oh, that's great. I hope not only here in front at the exhibition side. And who, this might be more interesting, has ever really bought a fraction of Bitcoin at an ATM? Okay, well, you know, those guys belong to me, so you see it's a little bit different here. Well, really, this answer is not really surprising because I think we are all not the real target group. Why? Because probably we all have a financial background. We all know what blockchain is about. We are fully used to digital product cycles and also products. And yes, the target group where we think people will be attracted by Bitcoin ATMs, these are probably people like your friends, your parents, people you talk to and who don't have any clue what you are talking about when you tell them what you're doing in business life. And think about people who still use paying with cash when they go into the supermarket. And those people may be more affected by a Bitcoin ATM, but I will tell you why a little bit later. So first, let's have a look at Bitcoin adoption in general. So we all know that Bitcoin is by far the most important and largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization. So together with Ethereum, Bitcoin and Ethereum, they account for roughly 60% of market cap. And if we break it down now to ownership, a figure this is really more difficult to estimate, but we will trust all analysis here, we will see that Bitcoin owners grew to more than 200 million, 220 million globally. And they account for Bitcoin for 52% of global crypto owners. So for sure, as you can see here, we are at the very beginning of a very promising adoption cycle. And now let's have a look at the adoption curve, which is a mainstream indicator for adoption among retail investors and institutional investors. We all know that in 2008, after the last financial crisis, and we really hope that it will still be the last financial crisis, Bitcoin came to market. And it took about 10 years until the first retail investors got to market. But retail investors here, we call them early adopters because those people are definitely not the real target group for Bitcoin ATMs. Why? Because they are fully adapted to digital currencies or digital life cycles and products. At the moment, we are for sure in the phase of institutional adoption. I mean, the crypto asset conference here is the biggest proof for that. The main question, if we talk about Bitcoin adoption as a mass phenomenon, is now, when will the classic bank customer comes into play? So the classic retail customer from banks, if you like. We think that here a Bitcoin ATM may play a very important role, because a Bitcoin ATM, and I really ask you to think about it for a moment, has one unique feature. It's the own really bridge which offers a kind of user experience if you take cash money and you want to transfer it into a digital money or currency. For us here, as I said, we are living in a bubble. This may not be of very importance, but believe me, out there, think about all the people still preferring cash payments. This might be a very important fact. So let's have a look why people use Bitcoin ATMs. Well, as I said, ATMs are very well-known vehicle coming from the classic financial services. So they are used to it. And they are a kind of physical access point for people who are perhaps not that technically sophisticated and want to have an access point where they can go to. It's also an easy process for your first transaction. You take your bills, you put it into the ATM, and it will be transferred to the digital currency. Another very important point, but this accounts above all for ATMs from Kurant, is that you have really a help center behind. So people can call someone at Kurant's business, and they don't end up in a chat board answering or asking you, press 1, 2, 3. No, there are real people behind that answer questions if you encounter any problems. And again, for digital natives, this may not be of any interest, but we all know that financials in general are a matter of trust, and people normally feel better if they have the chance to call someone and to ask questions, so that problems will be solved later. So now let's have a look again, coming back to my first question, at the real target group for Bitcoin ATMs. Yes, for sure, this is what I stated before. Digital natives, Gen Z, millennials, you name it, they will probably not be the right target group for Bitcoin ATMs because they don't need this access point. But if we look at people who are perhaps a little bit more mature, who are a very interesting target group for banks, bank customers, because normally they have more free float money to invest in, then a Bitcoin ATM may be a very interesting service or device to go to and really to experience this transformation of cash into a digital money. So to sum it up in a certain way, we shouldn't underestimate the power of people who are still using cash when we talk about a successful Bitcoin adoption. And at this point, I would like to give over to my colleague Stefan, who will give you now more insights about Kurant's business itself.
Thanks, Gloria, for this introduction and for the handover. So we will now go into a market overview. So how about our industry concretely? How about, let's say, the evolution about the recent years? So you can see it here on the left-hand side. There is really a growing demand worldwide. There was a growing demand worldwide since 2014. So we have seen for more or less 8 years annual growth rates of 100% each year, meaning that the number of Bitcoin ATMs worldwide has doubled from year to year. However, this was primarily driven by the US and by Canada, which is also then shown on the right-hand side where you see the absolute figures of Bitcoin ATMs per country. So in the States, we have more or less 30,000 or over 30,000 ATMs running over there. We see Canada with 2.5 thousand ATMs, and then all the European countries are following, having just up to 200 ATMs per country, even for the big ones like Spain, France, Germany, and Italy. Yeah, so taking a look overall at the European landscape, we see 1,500 ATMs here. We see the more than 30,000 in the States. So there's really a significant potential here for Europe to catch up. Even taking a look at the number of fiat ATMs in comparison to the Bitcoin ATMs, we also see a ratio of 1 to 75, which means that for one Bitcoin ATM, they're all running in Europe 75 fiat ATMs, again showing the potential we have here to grow further. Who are the operators? How about the European market overview regarding the operators? You see here a market overview regarding that. And interestingly, we just see two ones being present in more than one country in Europe. Yeah? This means we as the European market leader are acting in 4 European countries. Also our main competitor is present in several ones, but starting from the third one, the competitors are just acting locally in their home country. As said, already with a market leader in Europe, we are also the only one having a fully compliant offer for the German market. And therefore, you can also see here the map around Frankfurt, where you see our local neighborhood of ATMs running over here beside Frankfurt. The closest one is really a famous one, being there 2 kilometers from here at Saturn at Zeil, which is of course an interesting location, Frankfurt. So what the background of such a huge difference between Europe and the States? Of course, we heard it a lot of discussions already yesterday and today. The regulatory environment is a challenge here because even having some kind of European regulation in place, it's still inconsistent across the countries. Yeah? So if we take a look at the 4 countries we are present, we see that Austria, Spain and Greece have somehow a crypto regulation in place based on the 5th European AML directive. But if we take a look at Germany, here the regulation is even more challenging, which means that we are only able to run the business here together with a bank, namely Suter Bank, providing the regulatory background to do this business here. And of course, everybody's awaiting MiCA to have some kind of passporting facilities then in place. One interesting look at our customers, you can see here the volumes across the recent years we have transacted at our ATMs. So even having crypto winter in place for the last recent month, we see that our business having high number of transactions, but a small transaction size is less dependent on the actual crypto rate and therefore less dependent on, let's say, the market situation. So the business shows that it can be significantly resistant against market weaknesses as we have seen recently. So where are our ATMs located? Yeah, so you see here some strategic locations of branches of well-known companies locally and also internationally. So as already said, MediaMarkt Saturn is a huge partner of us, having several ATMs running over there in Germany, in Austria and also in Spain. We have an ATM running at Volksbanken, Raiffeisenbank, Bayern Mitte. Yeah, you know most probably for their Bitcoin engagement. We have several branches of Allianz who also have some ATMs running there, and which is always appreciated by our customers are petrol stations. So you see PP, Shell and others which are already our partners. Of course, further ones are welcome. Yeah? So if you're interested in that, please just let us know, and then we are looking forward to partner together with you too. So how about the future, what's coming up? Innovation is not over yet. Yeah? So two topics, 2 projects we're focusing on currently. We have already 2-way ATMs, which can also cash out cryptos to fiat money in other European countries running over there. This will also be something we will provide soon to the German market, again, being fully compliant with everything which is needed for the German market. And we are also working on Lightning ATMs. We have already piloted Lightning ATMs at the BTC 22 in Innsbruck last year. And this will also be an offer to the market, which will come up soon. So thanks for your attention. I think you've seen now deeper insight in our business. As Gloria said, we see ourselves and our service as a gateway to Bitcoin adoption. And if you're further interested in that, please just visit our site at our ATM. Thanks a lot.